Hi everyone, it's Liz, the Frugal Libertarian, and I wanted to talk to you today about the importance of the First and the Second Amendments and why both of them are so crucial to American freedom and why both of them are targeted independently and together by people who are not friends of freedom. So I just went and got my handy Ron Paul 2012 Pocket Constitution and Declaration of Independence. I wanted to be able to read to you the two different amendments. Amendment 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Amendment 2, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Second Amendment has to do with gun ownership rights, basically stating that free people have the right to own firearms to defend themselves. You can understand why a bunch of people who had just fought a revolution and dealt with a government who they're fighting against who took people's guns and ruined them so that they couldn't be used against British soldiers. So you've got an idea of why they would think that was important, that the ability to defend yourself against the government you have a grievance with is pretty important. Free speech is so vital to a free society because without being able to speak your mind and say things that other people might find offensive or disagree with, you're not free. And likewise, the inability to defend yourself either against other people or against the government is equally important to a free society. Warrantless searches and seizures, if you have the right to speak out about it happening to you, you can redress the government about it. You can sue about it. You can speak out to other people about it and prevent it from happening in the future. If you have the right to have firearms, you can protect yourself from warrantless searches and seizures. So you start to see how these things become the linchpins of a free society. Both of those are the ones that are the most under attack. The Second Amendment is under attack by people who don't like guns, who think guns are scary, who want the entire country to be a gun-free zone, who don't seem to understand that criminals don't follow laws. Basically, people say, I don't like violence, therefore I don't like guns, and therefore I want all guns to be banned. Now you can see the people, the anti-gun people, really pushing hard to terrify people. They take actions like what happened in Orlando, which was clearly a terrorist attack by an Islamic fundamentalist against homosexuals. And they turn it into, oh, it's just a regular mass shooting, we should have gotten the guns away. So, they're spinning it. You've got the whole, there's hundreds of mass shootings every year in the United States when there's not, and in order to get that, they have to include deaths by suicide, gang violence. So if a man shoots his wife, shoots someone else, and shoots himself, oh, it's a mass shooting. So they've really messed with the definition in order to get to the point of hundreds of them happen every year. The idea being you want to terrify people so they'll go, okay, let's get rid of them, they're terrifying. The First Amendment is something we're seeing really being attacked recently, usually by the same people who do not like the Second Amendment. These are the people who say things like offensive speech is a crime, words hurt as much as fists. They're the same people who turn around and attack protesters and people that are saying and doing things they don't like with physical violence. The physical violence is validated by the fact that you're saying or doing things that are considered offensive. You see political groups really pushing to get rid of these two amendments. If you cannot speak, if you cannot complain, if you cannot petition, if you cannot protest, if you cannot gather in a group, if you cannot be free to practice the religion you want to practice, you're not free. And if you can't defend yourself against other citizens or against a government, foreign or domestic, you are not free either. When you take away those things, you can take away every other right, because nobody can complain, nobody can sue, nobody can publish, nobody can protest. They can do nothing against what the government is doing. So you take away the First Amendment because, oh, hate speech, oh, offendedness, oh, words are worse than violence. And what do you have in the end? All the other amendments go, all your other protections go. You take away the Second Amendment, the ability to protect yourself. The other amendments go as well, because again, if you don't have the right to defend yourself against the government, against other people, against the government, against other governments, they can do whatever they want with you, and you can do nothing to defend yourself. If you remove one of those two, the others will soon follow. This is one of the things that people don't understand about the amendments. The Bill of Rights is supposed to be sacrosanct. The Bill of Rights is not supposed to be touchable. They're set there on purpose. They are not a gift from the government. The government isn't giving us the right to have free speech so they can take it away whenever they want because they gave it to us, and if you give it to us, you can take it away because you are the one who truly owns it. That's not how it works. We own it, and we are protected from having the government take it away. And that's the way the Bill of Rights is supposed to function. That these are rights that the government cannot interfere with. When you strip away one and or two, the rest will fall like dominoes. I've actually had people say to me things like, your right to free speech only covers non-offensive speech. If it's non-offensive, then why would it need protecting? If nobody cares that you're saying it, then why is it being protected? You know, it makes no logical sense. And they'll say things like, well, hate speech shouldn't be protected speech because it's hateful. Right? But that's kind of the notion of free speech, is there's no boundary to it. As far as constitutionally protected speech, it is the offensive stuff. It is the stuff you don't want to hear. It is the stuff that you disagree with, that makes you feel offended, makes you feel vulnerable, that makes you feel hurt. That is the stuff that needs protecting. And that's what it's referring to. Freedom of religion is incredibly ingrained into our society. The idea that the government cannot endorse a religion, meaning, you know, this is a blank country. Neither can they then turn around and repress it and say, hey, you over there, don't practice your religion because we've outlawed it. At the same time, the government can't sit there and say, well, we endorse this church. We're going to follow the rules of this religion. That's not how our government works. Our laws are not based on a religious tenet. They're based on the idea of freedom for the individual, of the individual's rights. That's what our laws are based on, not on any religious text. As much as people try to claim it, it is not true. Now the government and some politicians have jumped on this bandwagon and are nudging citizens to push with it because they know that when you take away the First and Second Amendment, the citizenship is powerless. We can't protect ourselves from the other problems, from the other things that are being protected. Your Bill of Rights will dissolve without those two fundamentally important amendments. And again, there are politicians who will argue that those amendments should be stripped because they're not valid anymore, or they were written so long ago they couldn't have thought of what today would have. They couldn't do, they had no idea about the internet and telephones and televisions and guns that aren't muskets, which by the way is completely and totally historically incorrect. They absolutely had guns that were not muskets. They had repeat fire guns, they had repeat cannons, they had weaponry today that would today look terrifying to gun control advocates. They just don't know any of the history of this. But the politicians love to goad these people on because, again, it gives the politician more power. And once they have that power, again, they can strip out anything they want at that point, because what are you going to do about it? You will be powerless to stop them. And that is why it does not matter if you find offensive speech horrifying and you want other people to shut up. You should support free speech rights, because without the free speech right, you can't complain about the things you don't like. Even if you don't want a gun, you should support the Second Amendment, because, again, without it, you're going to see every other right dissolve. You're going to see the government overstep its boundaries and take whatever they want, because they know you can't defend yourself against it. That is why, even if you don't like them, you should support those amendments, because without them, our rights are nothing. You want to keep soldiers from being quartered in your house without your approval? Keep the First and Second Amendment. You want to be protected from warrantless searches and seizures? Keep the First and Second Amendment. You want the right to a trial by jury. You want the right to representation. You want the right to be innocent until proven guilty, to not have your property seized because it might have been part of a crime, which, by the way, is still going on and is being fought. You want that protection? Don't get rid of the First or the Second Amendment. If this is something you've never thought of, I hope it gives you something to think about. If it's something you haven't supported in the past, I hope this will change your mind and get you, like I said, you don't have to want to exercise those rights. You don't have to want to own a gun. You don't have to want to publish things or speak out or again, sue the government. You don't have to want to do those things. But you have to support that other people do, because it is their God-given right. I am Liz, the Frugal Libertarian. If you have not done so, please hit subscribe. If you agree with this, give me a thumbs up. And please talk below in the comments about it. Do you agree with me that these are the most important amendments? Do you think there are other amendments that outweigh it? What do you think about the slightly casual and yet militant way in which certain groups in our country right now are fighting to remove these rights? Let me know what you think. I will talk to you soon. I hope you have an awesome day.